Started at 6:30 in the morning. I used to do half an hour till 7 o'clock. I'd be out of the pool by about 7:05 and in work by 20 past. And I used to do that Monday to Friday. And do you know what? Even small steps I noticed as I kept going on and on and on, that was helping my weight loss massively as well. It was like giving it that extra boost. But not only that, I felt really good. I felt really good. And then it wasn't until the colder months started kicking in, getting up at that time in the morning and having to I was like, I'm going to have to try and change it up. So I started walking, and walking then turned into the couch to 5K. Then it was maybe I run a bit further, or I run 10K, and then my knees weren't the best. So I love walking now. I go out walking most days. I'll do a few, 3-4 miles a day. I've done charity events via Insta. I've got Snowdon coming up now in July, and that's something I never would have done.
Slimming Stories is branching out. I've created a Facebook group, and over the next couple of months I'll be building a community, starting with live Slimming Story conversations. This is your opportunity to feature on one of the upcoming podcast episodes and share your weight loss journey. Are you with me? All you need to do is just click on the link in the podcast show notes or search for Slimming Stories within the group feature on Facebook. I would love to see you there. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slimming Stories. I'm your host, Claire Oldham West. I just want to say that I actually made it to the coast on Friday. I feel like a new woman. It was just lovely just to get out, be near the coast, and I had a great day with my son and my husband playing crazy golf, and I actually managed to get 3 holes in one. 3. And my husband is nearly off pro status, so I felt really good to have him beat him at crazy golf. It was really nice. Well, I didn't beat him with the scores, but I managed to get 3 holes in one. So I'm feeling very lucky. It just feels like there's a bit of, a change of the energy. Having the nice weather. It's really nice. It just feels, quite uplifting. So how are you feeling? How's your week been this week? If you're in need of a boost of motivation, I really feel that Ross Smith can bring this today. Just to hear how he's been able to lose such a large amount of weight and also improve his wellness, his health, his fitness. And I think this will be just a great episode to hear and to inspire you to take those steps. Now that, things are opening back up, we're coming out of lockdown, it just feels that this is a great time to really get back on it. And is climbing Mount Snowdon too to help raise money for charity. That's going to be in July. So I've added a link in the show notes. And if you'd like to support Ross on his journey to Snowdon, up those mountains, it wasn't always the case that Ross was so nimble and feeling so fit. This has been something that has had to work towards, but that's where he's at today. His fitness has improved so massively that he's able to take on such a fantastic challenge. So here's introducing Ross to his episode of Slimming Stories. Enjoy. Ross, come on, tell me now, at what point did you ever think that you'd be on social media talking about your lumps and bumps and your stretch marks? Where has that come from?
I really don't know, because if anything, I'd have been talking about some food or something. But it's been a crazy 3 years, really, real crazy. It's how quick it's gone, and it's all new world to me, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving life at the moment.
And if anybody listening doesn't know your story, if anybody's listening in India or Poland, wherever people download, if you just want to start by telling the listeners how much you've lost and how much success you've had with your weight loss.
Basically, I've lost 11 stone today, and I started off with the slimming world, and it's gone from strength to strength, really. Just recently, I featured in the Slimming World magazine, which was massive. It's something that I wanted when I first started. It was something I always wanted to achieve, to be into that in the magazine. And when it came true, it was like absolutely unreal. I was on cloud 9 for God knows how long. And it was amazing. And then obviously with the paper a couple of weeks back, I was in the Daily Mirror. That also was like, it's just so surreal. I'm a lad from a quiet place in Hereford, to be in a national, worldwide, I think, as well, a Slimming World magazine. and the paper, a national paper, was crazy, absolutely crazy. But as I said, it's been the best journey of my life, and I've loved every second of it.
So just to put this into perspective, if you listen in the US, this is like Weight Watcher level. So I think Ross is basically explaining perhaps meeting Oprah Winfrey. That's his pinnacle moment. And I think the Slimming World community, all of the, I guess, weight loss community out there on Instagram, it's so warm, you know, it's so encouraging. And how easy do you find it showing up on social media and being so open about people maybe asking you questions about it and talking about your body so honestly?
Yeah. In all fairness, I've always been quite a confident person, and I've always known my self-worth and stuff like that. Since losing the weight, I feel unreal. So I think for me, with this whole social media thing and being open and honest, it helps people realize that it can be done. These people, you know, that are looking for that sort of reassurance that it's going to work for them. And I mean, like I said, I was massively overweight. I didn't really appreciate my body to the point where I thought, you know, I didn't like what was staring back at me. I didn't like what was staring back at me in the mirror. In fact, I hated it really. And then I started losing more and more weight, and I thought, you know, I'm starting to I like what I see in the mirror, and now I feel amazing. I really do feel amazing, and I do actually like what I see, what's looking back at me, and I want other people to feel like that. I want to be able to inspire people to want to achieve what I have, and social media is a massive platform. And you know, obviously, by me being truthful and honest about what I eat, how I look, I put on there my bad days, I put on there my good days. It's just being honest and letting people know that, you know, it's okay to go off the wagon a couple of days and just get back onto it. So yeah, no, I feel brilliant. And do you know what? It's a massive, massive pat on the back when somebody says, I've started Slimming World again because you've inspired me to do so. And that's a massive thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, looking through your Instagram account and then looking at a guy that has this weight to lose, but actually in a mankini, I'm thinking, well, this guy must have a great ego, must have a great sense of confidence. And yet on Instagram, you've mentioned that actually you felt quite embarrassed and quite anxious. So looking back to you, I guess your overweight self, what part of that made you feel that you couldn't live authentically, that you had to put on this laughter and like go with it just for the crack?
From a young age, I was always like the big lad. I was always the overweight friend. And, you know, I think I've always, literally from a really young age, I've always been quite a tubby lad. So I kind of found that by being funny, I fitted in a lot more. That was my place. That was my thing. I was the funny one. Yeah. And I kind of got to the point where if I took the mick out of myself, it stopped other people doing it. So I basically did it before they could. And I knew that if I took like the mick out of myself, I could deal with it. I just laugh it off. Yeah. Someone else done it, it hurt more. So by doing it before them, it kind of made it easier. Not that I used to get a lot of that, because I was that bubbly person, because I was that funny one. I was everybody's friend. I fitted in. So I never really had an issue with it. But confidence-wise, I'm always up for a laugh. I'm the laughing, I'm the life and soul of the party. I am the joker. And I've always been like that. I'll never lose that. But since having that confidence mixed with that, yeah, I'm loving life. I'm really loving life.
Dynamic duo.
Exactly. And the outfits are all like decent. Like, it's all a good laugh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Life's too short. Life's too short.
We've had a bit of a glimpse of that, haven't we, with COVID, and to make the most of it. So just to go back a bit there and unpick that, you mentioned about being younger but not really having the bullying. At what point did you actually notice that you'd got the weight and that you was maybe different to your friends in the playground, and how did that impact you?
when I was at school, I was probably around about 14, something like 14. I noticed that I wasn't having the smaller clothes like my friends, and I was like a bit at PE and things like that. I noticed that I wasn't as skinny as everybody else, and to be honest, at that age, my mum always used to say, "That's puppy fat. You'll lose it when you're older.
Yeah.
You lose it when you're older." And then I started getting into sports and stuff at school, and coming up to the end of school, I actually lost a lot of weight. I was normal, average size. It was the same as everybody else. But that was because I was playing sports a lot more. And then I left school. I went to college, and then it all just spiraled out of control from there, really, by going out, eating, drinking most like weeks, weekends and stuff with friends. And I started noticing all this weight piling on. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't really notice it at first. It wasn't until a bit later on in life that I realised, wow, do you know what I mean? How big have I got? But then I was comfortable. I was married at the time, and I had my daughter, and I felt content. I had everything. I didn't need to impress anybody. I didn't need to be this person. So I was just happy with going with life. And then obviously things changed, and my marriage broke down, and then I found myself at an age where I was like, oh my God, I've got to do something in my life now. I'm moving back home to my friends. I'm overweight, massively overweight.
What was your thought process around that time about being overweight and moving back to your mum's that made you feel, actually, I need to take kind of stock of things?
It was, the fact is, I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I'm at a point in my life where I was like, well, I was 35, and I was moving back to my mum's. I was massively overweight. Who was going to want me? Who was going to want to sort of be with somebody who was overweight and living with his mum? So it kind of, realization hit quite hard. And it was quite a low point for me, really. Over sort of a few months, I didn't really know what direction to go in, but I knew I had to do something. I knew I couldn't just sort of like go into myself, because then that opens up a whole new world. Then I'm not a dark person. I don't, because of my personality and the amazing people I have around me. I would never sort of let myself get to that point. I always surround myself with quite positive people.
Brilliant.
And I know that if I ever need anybody, I've got a great sort of family and friends connection, so that wouldn't even be an issue. But sometimes, the realization of life does kick in, and you've got to sort of grab it by the horns, or otherwise it will drag you down. And I didn't want that for me as sake, really.
And I think sometimes we kind of go on that autopilot of life. I moved back in with my mum and dad when I was 31 with a 5-month-old in a 1-bedroom. And then it's like, oh my goodness, what's happened? But literally the day after, I got a journal and I said, right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want in my life. Having that nurture of a great family and friends around you just means everything, doesn't it? It means that you know that people have got you back, and maybe you've been through a difficult patch, but people have got you back, and having that is a wonderful gift, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. And you know what? I'd be lost without him. I would absolutely be lost without him. My mum has been my absolute rock. And I suppose the one person that I owe pretty much everything to is Mia. Because without her, and without knowing that she was there, I probably would have spiraled a bit. Do you know what I mean? I knew I couldn't just sort of go away from it because of her. She needed her dad, and I was her rock. I was her everything. So I had to do it for her. And because, I mean, when I was growing up, I was massively overweight. I never wanted kids. I was still a kid myself. I was like, when I found out that my wife was pregnant, my ex-wife, was pregnant, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby. And I had to grow up really, really quick. And I did. And do you know what? She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And she literally is my guardian angel. She's brought me through everything. And she always does. She always does.
Oh, great.
But, yeah.
I know that you talk about having no off switch. So in that moment, that was the trigger to obviously turn that on and then seek the help. So was there anybody that guided you into your weight loss journey, or was it yourself that sought the help?
One of my best friends from school, growing up together and stuff, pretty much lived at his house. His mum and dad, I used to call mum and dad, I still do to this day. And they've seen me going from like the age of 11 up to now. And basically I saw his mum, and I hadn't seen her for a couple of years. And I went round to see her, and Ethlene, her name is, there's black and white with her. She tells you how it is. Yeah. She's always been the same growing up as kids. She was always the same. And I walked up to the house, and she just stopped, and she just stared at me and went, "Oh, wow." And I was like, "You're right." She goes, "Ross, you're a heart attack waiting to happen." She goes, "Look at the size of you." She said, "You're massive." I was like, don't mince your words, will you, Eth? I was like, "You tell me how it is." And she was like, "Seriously," she said, "something bad's going to happen to you if you don't sort this out." And I went in and we sat down chatting, and she said, "Why don't you come to Slim and World with me?" Now, I tried Slim and World a few years back, and I'd lost like 3 or 4 stone, but it just all went back on. It was never a lifestyle change. It was just something, a quick fix. But it literally within a couple of months, it went back on. And that was because my head wasn't in it. I didn't want it. And then F said, "Come to Slim and World." And she was like, "I'm going next week. You're coming with me." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, F." I said, I'm alpha male. I'm not going to go to a group where there's full of women and all this. I said, no. She was like, "You're coming with me." So anyway, I went home that night, and I sat there and I thought, why not? Why not go now, but just see how it goes, So I went down with her on the first time I walked through the doors. She was dragging me in by the hand, and then I walked in, and do you know what? Within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, straight away I realised that like everybody there was there for the same reason. They wanted to lose weight. There was no judging. There was no people looking at me sort of thinking, "Well, what's he doing here?" or anything like that. And then I met Laurel, who was my consultant at the time, and she was lovely, absolutely brilliant, really was such a nice woman. And my first week went really well. I was bang on plan, thinking, I've got this. I wanted to go in and impress. And then I went in the first week and lost 5.5 pounds. I was like, wow, how have I done this? I said, I've just been eating like good food. And then, so Ethlene, it was a massive thing for me. She was a massive turning point. I don't think I would have ever started my journey if it wasn't for her driving me on that day, because I just wouldn't have had it in me to go.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have.
I think I've been in that situation before where that lone male walks through the door, and I know it can be intimidating, and for women too, when maybe they're not confident or they're already very self-conscious to walk through the door of any group. But I found personally that with groups like Slimming World, like running clubs, there's a lot out there. We've spoken about going through difficult times, but having great friends and great family, which I have too. But there are people that will be listening to this podcast today and think, well, that's okay for you, Claire, that's okay for you, Ross, but what about me? Yeah. How do you think we can speak to those people that would love to have a nurturing group, just to either go through the doors of a Weight Watchers or Slimming World group, or go to a run club? Because it's almost a case of, face of fear, isn't it? When you walk that path and get past that point, it's then okay, you can breathe, can't you? But it's almost that there's an anxiety, isn't there, where it's a case of, well, if you don't feel that anxiousness, you'll never get there. What piece of advice do you feel that you could offer to those people listening that would love to have a similar experience to you with success? Yeah,
to be honest, things like this, doing things like this and Insta and things like that, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of my friends, male friends, that wouldn't walk into the group because they're like, "Oh no, I ain't doing that. My advice would be, it's like, you've got 2 choices. You either, stupid as it sounds, you do it or you don't. If you don't do it, you're still going to be sat in the same place as you are in the next 12 months. What have you got to lose? Do you know what I mean? There's proof in the pudding of people that have done it. There's following the people that have lost a crazy amount of weight. And it is daunting walking through those doors. And it does give you that sort of like, do get that anxiety, and maybe, you know, you think, oh God, what am I walking into? But it's a life-changing move. It's completely changed my life. I was the same. I never thought it was going to work. I never thought walking through those doors it was going to change my life. I didn't. But do you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. Best decision. And if I can give any advice, it would be just go with it. Just try it. If you know yourself, you walk into a group, if it's not for you, it's not for you. You can't force somebody to be there. You know, I get this all the time on social media, people saying, I've fallen off the wagon, I can't do it, I can't face it, I can't seem to stop eating and stuff. If your head's not in it, it won't work. It won't work. You've got to be committed to it and want to achieve it. You want to feel better for yourself. And it isn't until you get to that point where it was sort of like, you know, the first sort of few weeks where you start losing the weight and you're thinking, you know, I've lost 4 pounds, I've lost 2 pounds, I've lost 1 pound. It's not until you get into that momentum and then you start seeing that results, you think, oh my God, this actually works. It's really working for me. And then it kickstarts, and then it gives you that massive boost. I mean, the thing that motivated me the most was getting that result every week on the scales. That was my goal. I didn't want to go into group and get on the scales and then go, you've put half a pound on, or you've put a pound on. I wanted that loss every week. So that was my motivation. And I think a lot of men out there, they see Slimming World as a woman-only sort of world. Yeah. And this is that time now that needs to be broken. There needs to be something now that shows that it's not just a woman's world. There's plenty of men on Slimming World that fly in the flag massively for them. And that's something I think, you know, that Slimming World needs to look at in a massive way, for the fact that they need to bring those males forward. Definitely man on the front cover, 100%.
Absolutely. You need to be consulting there, Ross. You're flying the Slimming World flag. And I think however you feel that you need to meet your calorie deficit, Slimming World is definitely up there in terms of, like, I guess, like a nurturing role. Maybe for those that perhaps don't like the scales, maybe there'd be another path around exercise and calorie control. But I think Slimming World is definitely up there if you kind of feel that you've got no education around nutrition and that you need that, like, that family support. 'Cause it's almost like a little bit of a family community, isn't there? And I think even if you don't join Slimming World, just go on Instagram, look at, you know, the people that have had these weight loss successes and reach out to one, because every time I've reached out to somebody, there are some egos out there, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lie, but in general, reach out to somebody and that you will get that warm response back. So having had this success with your weight loss, how have you balanced that with your fitness goals? I know that you spoke about walking for you was just a great way to get fit and also just to clear your mind. So if you'd just like to talk about that for a moment.
Fitness for me was never a thing. You know, walking upstairs, I used to struggle. So when I first started Slimming World, I wanted to get my fitness side of things moving as well. I wanted to feel better about myself. So I, in fact, started swimming. I started swimming literally, I think it was something like 3 weeks after I started Slimming World, because I read about the fact that it tightens your skin and it tones as well. Okay. So when I first started, my aim when I first started Slimming World was only to lose a couple of stone. I didn't know how far I was going to go. And then I started swimming. I was so, like, you know, body conscious, really body conscious. It was really hard, but I knew the group, the swimming place, bars I used to go to, I knew at that time in the morning, it was like the older years sort of thing, so that they're not going to be bothered at sort of looking at someone like me. But I didn't feel embarrassed. I didn't feel like scared about going there or anything like that. So, do you know what? I went down there, started at 6:30 in the morning. I used to do half an hour till 7 o'clock. I'd be out of the pool by about 7:05 and in work by 20 past. And I used to do that Monday to Friday. And do you know what? Even small steps I noticed as I kept going on and on and on, that was helping my weight loss massively as well. It was like giving it that extra boost. But not only that, I felt really good. And then it wasn't until the colder months started kicking in, getting up at that time in the morning and having to I was like, I'm going to have to try and change it up. So I started walking, and walking then turned into the couch to 5K. Then it was maybe I'll run a bit further, or I'll run 10K, and then my knees weren't the best. So I love walking now. I go out walking most days. I'll do a few, 3-4 miles a day. I've done charity events via Insta. I've got Snowdon coming up now in July. And that's something I never would have done. Never, ever. Fitness was never a thing. So fitness, I think, on that side of things is massively beneficial to anybody slimming journey. It's even so much as half an hour walking, 10 minutes, changing bedding, doing something active, body magic. That's what it's all about. And it helps you so much with your weight loss and your mind. Do you know what I mean? Many days I come home from work really stressed out. Yeah. Best thing in the world is putting my headphones in, shoes on, and away I go, and clears the mind, and away you go. But definitely keep fit.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because I think for people that are in maybe a routine of having these negative thoughts, the best thing is to get out, but they feel so rubbish inside that they don't want to get out. And we can talk about it. You can listen to podcasts, you can read books, you can watch documentaries, you can do it. You can research it inside out. But literally, just getting up and just try it. It's literally that simple. And I think when you spoke about the swimming in the morning, at the moment I'm doing couch to 5K. I've done a 10K in the past. And I've just started back at running. The way that I see it is I'm not running for my legs, I'm running for my mind. I think having that momentum that I'm going to commit to myself to get up at daft o'clock at 5:45 in the morning, run at like -2 that's been this week, or 0. And albeit, it's a couch to 5K, it's not epic. It's almost like a reset for the day. And I think when you can do those things, and when you can commit to that, like swimming, you feel that you can do anything, like you're invincible because you've done the hardest part. Who else will commit to a run in the morning or, go swimming like 5 times a week? Snowdon is coming up. And that must be really exciting. So that's quite a big goal. It's not something tedious, is it?
It's massive. We were meant to do it last year, but due to restrictions, obviously with COVID and lockdown, we couldn't go to Snowdon. So what we had to do is we had to do the same distance walking around our area, out in the streets, and we raised over £18,000 with a load of other Instagrammers and stuff like that. And it's a fantastic achievement. And that was for Mind Charity. Yeah. This year we fingers crossed, touch wood, that we are actually going to get to go up Snowdon. And we're doing it for children with cancer. And do you know what I mean? That's a massive charity, and every penny raised from is well worth it. But there's so many of us doing it, and we've all been on this. Well, I'd say pretty much all of us have been on this slimming journey, and we're all from different parts of the country, and there's some from Ireland, there's from Scotland, and London, everywhere. And we're all meeting up, and we're all going to do it for this charity. And do you know what? It's a chance to meet everybody as well. You speak to people on Instagram daily, every single day, and we still haven't met them. And my consultant, Kirsty, you've had on the show before. What a woman. What a woman. She's literally like a massive inspiration to me. And she's doing the walk as well. And I get to meet her because she's been my consultant since last March, and I've still not met her yet. So
bless, that'd be really nice. Yeah, Kirsty's lovely, absolutely lovely. She really is. Yeah. And it feels that the whole of your weight loss journey, getting back to a fit body again, has had just a tremendous impact on your life, on your health. Could you sum up the changes?
I'm massively grateful for obviously Slim and World and everything like that. I feel now $1 million. I literally do feel unreal. And to sum it all up, I think, how would you sum it up? I don't know. I just Do you know, I'm so proud and so happy that I'm where I am now. And 3 years ago, if somebody would have said to me, you're going to lose all this weight, you're going to literally change your life. I've bought my own home. I've got a good job. I've made some amazing friends through Slimming World. And life is good. Life is good. And life has changed around because as much as I lost weight, it's just the fact is I found something that I really believe in. Slimming World, I believe in massively. And without them, what could have happened? I might not have been here now. My daughter might not have had a dad. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's quite hard hitting, but it's true. I was massively overweight. I had heart problems because of it. It could have spiraled massively out of control, but it didn't. And I'm here now. I feel absolutely amazing, and I feel fitter now than I've ever been.
Brilliant.
But yeah, all good.
It's been great to chat with you, Ross. It's been, so inspiring, and we need this, don't we? For anybody listening that's like, oh my goodness, the gyms are back, and they see these this new thing on TV advertising these like virtual exercise bikes and and they're thinking, but I can't do that. But just like Ross said, just get your pair of trainers, get out the door. When you get those negative thoughts, just do like a 5-minute walk and build up, just as you would a run. Just do something, change your behavior around your fitness, around your mindset, just so that you can get through those challenging days. Just look what Ross has done. Such an amazing achievement, and it's been a joy to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really do appreciate it. Take care.
I think there's definitely a lot to be said for straight talking, and thank goodness that Ross had this opportunity to have this chance meeting with his friend's mum, and just to hear those words that he needed in that moment that really struck a chord, and to sit down with her and just to say, I'm here for you. I'm going to go with you and give you that support. Obviously, this was a time that Ross was ready to hear this, and it's really worked for him. And this just shows, just like what Ross explained in this episode, that being able to inspire other people and show other people that it is possible. 11 stone is a large amount of weight to lose. It's not something that you just gain overnight. And it takes some will and determination to get that amount of weight off, but Ross has done it, and I really think that this episode will help inspire you if you're feeling that you want to be going back to the run club, or you want to be going back to Slimming World or Weight Watchers. You're ready now. You're feeling that lockdown is it's in the past, and you're ready to step forward in the future. It's lovely to reflect in these episodes on what's happened in the past, so that we can have a bigger understanding of how somebody's been with their weight journey and how it's affected their life, and that's something that we really need to really hear, so that we can learn and relate. And once we can relate, then we can also envision a future that is different, because what these episodes also show is that even when you can have that past experience, it doesn't mean to say that this has got to be set in stone and that change is possible. And this is what Ross talks about. He talks about having done the swimming and then being able to go for the runs, doing a 5k, a 10k, and now finding his niche with walking. And looking back in the past is fantastic, to learn, to have that learning experience, to have that moment, especially with the podcast, that you can sit down, listen to the podcast, or whether you're doing the dinner or going on your run or your walk, and you can actually see yourself in that person. Because then you can make that connection and think, well, okay, if it's okay for Ross, if he's able to achieve the success, then maybe, just maybe, I can do that too. And then we can then almost future pace to how Ross is now with his health and his fitness. Such an inspiration. And this is achievable for everybody. This isn't something that, is special to Ross. This is something that is achievable to everyone. So, please go over and support Ross on his Instagram account. Send you lots of great energy through the sound waves. Have a fantastic week ahead. And until next time, take care.